a passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes, where we're changing the world, wait for it, one ohm at a time. And this week on the Dr. Kevin Show, as we do on all of the fourth Thursdays of the month, so this month has a fifth Thursday, so that's going to be a grab bag Thursday. But on the fourth Thursday of the month, we are joined sometimes by a guest, sometimes not by a guest, but always, at least always for now, by my co-host, Lori Powers-Otto, the Reverend Lori Powers-Otto, author, spiritual coach and counselor, female extraordinaire, goddess, just throw out any terms you want. Her and I, she was my co-host for my last, was it year and a half of the Web of Light TV show?
Yeah, I think it was a year and a half.
Yeah, I think it was about a year and a half that you did the Web of Light TV show with me, and you have bounced in and out of the Dr. Kevin Show of doing regular co-hosting slots to not to we have captured you and dragged you back into the madness of the Dr. Kevin world. Yay, us.
Can't stay away from you. I don't know what it is. Drawn to you like a moth to the flame.
Oh, burn, baby, burn. So, on today's show, we're going to just be poking around at some of the hot topics going on. We're going to be answering some questions from you, our listeners, whether you decide to Facebook them in by going to the Dr. Kevin Show on Facebook, whether you decide to call in, because we are a live call-in show, so it's 202-570-7057. That's 202-570-7057. Or whether you have submitted them before. So we're going to be just answering some spiritual questions. We're going to be catching up and talking about what's going on in the world. And we invite you to be part of the conversation, because when you are part of the conversation that's happening in the world, you can help make the world a better place. When you are on the sidelines of the conversation and just bitching about it, you are contributing to making the world not a better place. Not, doing nothing is not nothing, it's something.
Exactly.
Saying nothing is not nothing, it's something.
Amen.
And I think that for too long, we have kind of gotten lazy a lot of the times in America, thinking like, why bother? It's not my job. I can't. And then we wake up one day and we have lost some rights. We've lost control of a hugely dysfunctional government, and that is not a political statement. That is just the government. And we're fighting for our lives to keep democracy an actual democracy because we couldn't be bothered.
Right.
So we are giving you an opportunity, at least for the next 55 minutes, to share what you think, to ask your questions, and to have your voice heard here on the Dr. Kevin Show, which I think I'm like 16 and a half years, because I've been in several places. So I think I will be, so somewhere around there. So I've been around the block a few times. In fact, they've got 2 or 3 park benches named for me on that block, but we're not going to go into what they say. Ms. Lori!
Dr. Kevin.
How are you? Where are you? Talk to me. What's up these days?
Everything is up these days, but I'm actually doing pretty good myself, considering all the chaos going on around me and in me. So, but life is good. But I wanted to circle back to what you were saying to your opening, because what's going on with me is not real important right now. But you made me think of a conversation that I had on Facebook recently. A lot of people don't want to get involved, and I hear it just makes me so angry. Right? So this one friend of mine posted, she's going through a really, really tough time in her life, and she said, how do you guys handle it when you're angry? Very simple question. She was looking for ways, positive ways. She's normally a very positive, upbeat person, but, and one of her friends, and this is, I wanted to get your opinion, and anybody who wants to call in, I would love to hear your opinion on this. So most of us gave her tips on how we handle our anger. But one friend said to her, you can't get angry. This is no place for anger. It doesn't solve anything. I refuse to ever be angry. I'm a year and a half anger-free, and you should never be angry either. And I thought, what a load of BS. Of course.
That's what I thought as you were saying it.
Of course you're allowed to be angry, and there are things you should be angry about. The key is just don't stay there. Right?
Yeah, and so first of all, I want you to share what you said, because this is a very important topic. These are just the kind of topics that I think people should be talking about, and not from I don't know if I've used this term with you yet or not. It's a term I've started using, which some people find highly offensive. And of course, every time somebody finds it highly offensive, I find the desire to use it even more. Why is this not a surprise, right? I really would like us to talk about this issue, and I'd like to see if we can avoid what I like to call skim milk spirituality.
Right?
That just kind of skims across the top, doesn't really go down, and lives in the land of platitudes and denial and cluelessness about, that it is a human experience we're having. And when you use spirituality as a way to avoid your human experience, you're being anything but spiritual.
Exactly.
So I've started when people come to me and say things like, oh, I met with this one person and they said, like some of the BS you just said about, oh, you should never get angry. You should be above anger. And you know what's going to happen? At some point, that above anger, you're going to fall down on that pitchfork and you're going to be pulling out of your teeth. And that's because you fell on the pitchfork from the backside, because it's going to go all the way up and skew you, sunshine. But anyway, so what did you tell her to do with her anger?
Well, I told her what I do. When I get angry, I like to either clean my house or do some creative project or just immerse myself into something not affiliated with what made me angry. And what this does for me is I get something accomplished, but it gives me time to come to look at why I got angry to begin with. What exactly made me angry? And why did I let it make me angry? Right? So I get to reflect while I'm accomplishing something. And then it helps me redirect how I approach things.
Well, and I love the redirection idea of anger can come with a lot of energy. And if nothing else, you can be doing something productive with that energy. That energy can be useful, can be productive. So I think that's fabulous. Now, on the other hand, I mean, like the first thing that I like to do is I like to brew a pot of nightshade tea and make a batch of bitter almond cookies, and then I sit down with the person that made me angry, and I offer them tea and cookies.
There you go. But see, you did something productive first.
Yes.
You made tea and cookies, which
Well,
gave
but
you the...
it's nightshade tea, and it's bitter almond cookies. Let's just be clear.
Well, but still.
Yeah. Then I get to release any excess energy I have in where am I gonna bury the body where it won't be found.
Still being productive.
Hey, and it is. And I really believe that sometimes that those tea and cookies make the world a better place, It's so funny because I have to say, one of the plays that I was in was Arsenic and Old Lace.
I love it.
Yeah, that was one of my forays into theater was Arsenic and Old Lace. So I've always had a special place in my heart for bitter almond cookies. So, but anyway, well, I have a process when I get angry, and I mean the first thing I do is that I kind of do that productive thing in a way of I get angry and I let myself be angry. I go, okay, I'm angry. I get to be angry. I get to be human. I get to be angry. When I'm angry, maybe I'm going to go shovel snow or rake leaves, or maybe I'm going to go clean something or take care of something. But I get to be angry. And anger is okay. I will not give myself a hard time about being angry. And, one of the things is that in that getting angry, I then go through the process while I'm busy and I think about it. But I think about, okay, so first of all, like, why am I angry? What did this bring out in me? What is my side of this anger? And and so I always tell people, if somebody does something, and of course there are different kinds of anger. I mean, am I angry at some of the things that are going on in the world? Well, I wouldn't say angry in a personal way, but does it bring up a kind of anger? Yeah, sure it does. But it's a kind of anger. And it's an appropriate kind of anger that says you're actually friggin' human.
Right.
If it doesn't make you angry that both the people of the Ukraine and the people of Russia are being brutalized, they're both being brutalized because they put a maniac in power who has access to nuclear codes.
Right.
In a screwed up world where wealth is the god, and if you have it, you are forgiven all sins.
It's insane, but right. That should make us angry. Anybody who loves other people, anyone who loves justice, anyone who loves that, for people to have lives and live in peace and, all the happy, sunshiny things that everybody says the spiritual people all are for, and anybody with any compassion whatsoever should be angry about what's happening in Russia and the Ukraine. Now, should you stew on it? Should you let it eat away at you? No, but it's okay to get angry. And that was what I went back and told her. I told her, no, it's okay to be angry. God or spirit or whatever is not going to be mad at you. They might look down and go, oh, aren't you cute having a little temper tantrum? Because God has a sense of humor like that. But you're not going to go to hell because you got angry. And I just really, well, you're spiritual. You're sunshine and rainbows. No, not all the time. That's just.
That's only when that's only when I'm releasing gas.
Right. You would have to be clinically, I don't know what the term is, insane to be happy 24/7. You would have to be.
Well, I think it's called delusional.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the person that, ends up with, cancer or something else, and some dreaded disease, which is a disease of emotional denial. And there's a whole bunch of diseases that come from emotional denial. And, and I'm like, okay, well, so, yeah, hey, how did that not getting angry work out for you? It's not letting anger define you. That's the key.
Right.
You can't let anger go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say you're right. And we all know people who do let anger define them. And you see how miserable and unhappy they are. And sometimes people take anger too far. We all know someone who's done that they really just cannot see the world as it is. But, right, you need to feel all your emotions, no matter what they are. Recognize them, acknowledge them, say it's okay. But then look at what triggered you.
Well, and again, some of that moves into a place of, first of all, I figure out, okay, so what am I really angry about? Am I angry because I had unagreed upon expectations? Am I angry because I didn't listen to myself, or I got triggered and I stepped right into it? What actually made me angry? But at the end of the day, and this is what I always try to tell my clients, after I look at my anger, and first of all, I sit down with my anger. I'm like, hey, let's go to the pub. Brew for you, brew for me. So tell me, what's your beef? What are you really angry about? What's really going on here? Yeah. Not the surface shit. What's really going on here? And I talk to the anger, and I kind of figure it out. And then at the end, it's like, what do I need? What can I do about it? I can't in a tangible way do anything about the Ukraine and Russia. In a secondary way, much further away than secondary, there are things I can do. There are charities that are providing food and resources. There are other ways. There are things that you can be doing, but they can't eat up your life either. I mean, it's all about balance. But if there's something I can do, if I was angry at you, I would figure out all my stuff. I would go through all of it, and then I would sit down completely calm and say, hey, the other day when you did this, it really upset me. And when I thought about it, I realized these are the reasons that upset me, and these are my parts of it, but this is what I need to say to you. Kind of like this is what I need us to talk out.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly it. First break.
And there we go. Lori Powers-Otto and I here on the Dr. Kevin Show this week. Call in with your questions, 202-570-7057. Nothing is off the board. You can ask us anything, and we'll give you our best answers here on the Dr. Kevin Show.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Coping-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
If you're feeling increasingly lonely right now, you're not alone. It's totally normal. Even though we may not be able to get together in person, connecting virtually with friends and family still gives you a chance to interact with people and may help raise your spirits. Join a virtual book club, set up group text chats, or online video coffee breaks with coworkers.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. I'm here with Lori Powers-Otto, and we're just we're chatting about whatever we want to, and we're taking questions. And if you would like to ask questions, you can do so at 202-570-7057. So, Miss Lori, have we plummeted the depths of your anger?
Yes. Like I said, I'm not one that tends to get angry, but when I do, I handle it. But I just thought that's something that a lot of that whole anger conversation was something a lot of people need to talk about. But let's talk about something exciting. Let's talk about what's coming up with Dr. Kevin. You got lots of stuff coming up. Let's talk about that.
I'd like to say one more thing about anger.
Okay.
And it's a different shade or a different kind of anger, because anger, like if we want to say that like anger is the color red, there's 54 shades of red that could qualify as anger. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's different being angry at your cat that won't stop meowing, or your kid that won't stop crying, or your spouse who for the 54th time does something, and being angry at Putin. Different kinds of anger. But one of the things is anger can also be a powerful motivator and energizer for change. And that's the anger at injustice.
Yes.
And, when you see injustice in the world, you have a choice. You can speak out or you can stay silent. You can speak out and take actions and work at trying to understand why that injustice is happening. You can step up and maybe help somebody who is not who is not capable to fight their own injustice battle. And I think that oftentimes it is the anger at the injustices in the world that push people forward to do something about those injustices. Now, sometimes they're not the best thing to do about the injustice. Some people kind of go a little off the deep end in their fighting, But I find it interesting, and I'm gonna tie this over. I don't know if you've seen the new Batman movie.
No, I have not.
I don't know if you have. I don't know if you're a Batman fan. I don't know if you'd ever want to see it, but it's very interesting because my husband and my father-in-law, who I call Dad, we go to all of the superhero movies, the DC, Marvels. We go to all of them. They're big fans, and that's just one of the things that we like to do. And so we went to this Batman movie. And this particular Batman movie, they both were like, not my favorite. I mean, they're glad they went. It was good. And I actually really liked it. But it was probably the most in-depth psychological study of Batman's anger. Mm-hmm. And that's why I bring it up. That, his anger, and I can see if they do it well, and it will be such a crime if they don't do it well, but they set themselves up to show the emotional arc and growth of Batman through the upcoming Batman movies. It isn't just like powy bangy, look at these great like car chase scenes and isn't the Batmobile cool, and it is that he was a really hate-filled vigilante, still trying to recover and find justice for his father's death. And I'm not going to go into any details. They put some interesting plot twists in this that I've not seen in other Batman movies. And I've always been a Batman fan. I mean, I was a child of the 60s. I grew up with Adam West and, the Cesar Romero as the Joker and Meredith Burgess as the Penguin, and then they had like 3 different Catwomen. Huh?
Adam West was at my house when I was a kid.
Was he?
Yeah, he was dating my mom.
He was dating your mom?
No, a friend of hers.
Oh, a friend of hers.
My mom, a friend of hers. One and only time, but pretty big deal.
Yeah. So, I cut my teeth on Batman. He was my superhero of choice. And so I always watch all the Batman movies. But I saw this, and it showed as he realized that his hate wasn't about justice. And there was some cool lines in there as he kind of reached and realized that, he thought he was fighting for justice, but he was really fighting out of anger and from a place of that hate, that disempowerment of a child whose parents were killed.
Right, right.
And I was like, oh, so they're already setting it up. There's going to be other ones. Robert Pattinson is the actor who actually is really capable, as I've seen it, of doing psychological arcs. I wasn't sure how I was going to like him as Batman, but considering the conversation we have, I thought this was a very appropriate thing to bring up.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't let the anger eat you. You can't let it own you, define you, eat you. Because it will eat you.
Yes.
It will eat you up and it will spit you out. And it will ruin every good thing in your life if you don't figure out what to do with it and to do around it. So I just wanted to throw that out. But the first most damaging thing we can ever do with anger is to deny we're having it, to swallow it.
Right.
It's more poisonous than nightshade tea and bitter almond cookies.
Yeah. No, but no, that you're 100% right. That's we all know somebody who lets it eat them up and destroy them, and their life is nothing but.
Yeah.
And like we balance. Gotta be balanced.
If you want to talk now, we're in this, and of course, you're still always welcome to, if you ever want to, show up on the third Thursday of the month and hang out with Rob and I and hear what's going on astrologically. You're always welcome to come back and do that. You just have to call in, send me a text a couple minutes ahead of time so I know about it. But the reason I bring that up is because, we're having a Pluto return for this country, which, he talked a little bit about when you were still doing the show, but he got much more into, I think, after you had backed away from being on that show. And that we are in a very, it sounds dramatic when Joe Biden says we're fighting, when President Biden says we're fighting for the soul of the country. That's part of really, in some ways, what a Pluto return is. And of course, people don't have Pluto returns unless they hit 250. And I don't mean pounds. But countries do. And Rob talked about countries that have hit their Pluto return and how they ended up very different on the other side of it. It was very transformational. They had to change. And of course, it depends on where their Pluto is. And our country's Pluto is in its second house, which is the house about money and value. And this is what we've been going through ever since this has come into alignment, is what are we going to value? how have we let things get so out of whack with, that the majority, 95% of the people got poorer during the pandemic, and the top 1% made some like billions of dollars.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yep. So, there are people that have a right to be angry, and it's a great hypocrisy when people go, well, everybody has a fair chance. Everybody has an even chance. No, that's not true. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. It's a lie you're telling yourself when you don't want to recognize your privilege.
Right.
That's what that is.
Yes, exactly. I had that conversation with a family member that, I don't know what this white privilege you're talking about. Okay, you can walk around your neighborhood at night and not be worried about getting shot.
Well, if you want to see a few examples of stuff that I think falls into some of the white privilege categories, you should have watched the interviewing of what is hopefully going to be our incoming next Supreme Court justice. Because those angry old white men Republicans, and they were all Republicans. I'm not trying to make this political, but every last one of them who misrepresented the truth. Every truth they misrepresented was so well documented, but no one cares. No one cares that they stand there and they say, "You did." No, she didn't. No, that was in reasonable parameters. No, that didn't happen. And if one more bigot talk about critical race theory, I think I'm going to scream, because none of them get it right. They don't understand what it actually means. They are completely clueless. They're just throwing it around. I mean, there was a picture which I thought was really great. I heard about it. I didn't see it. But as soon as Ted Cruz finished, hammering this woman with all of the half-truths and outright lies to try to make her look bad, he then sat there and you saw him on his Twitter to see if he was trending. Right. Now tell me it wasn't about sound bites, right?
And and that is something that makes me wonder, what did happen to the moral compass of this country? That we don't get angry about the Ted Cruzes and, the DeSantis and all those people. I mean, the Marjorie Taylor Greene and all those others, that they are our government. They are or should be held to a higher standard. And they're a disgrace. They're a disappointment. They embarrass us to the world. Now, I have family members that eat up every word they say, people I love very much. And that breaks my heart, because they're just feeding into the hate, or letting the hate, consume them, and it's devastating. But yes, Ted Cruz, he just went off the rails, many years back and never got back on.
Yep. So we definitely spun out from anger, but what do you think of our potential new Supreme Court justice? Have you read anything about her, looked into her? Does she give you any hope, or?
She does. I really like her. And prior to to this nomination, and she was supported by Republicans and Democrats. They all saw her value. And she's got a great record. Yeah, I mean, you can see it. You can look it up online, read it for yourself, make up your own decisions. But, and it's just a shame to me that just because Joe Biden nominated her, just because she's a woman and a woman of color, they're all acting like a bunch of Looney Tunes. Try to be nice. But I like her. I think she'll get confirmed, and it'll be a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there was one other candidate I preferred over her, the one from North Carolina. I had my reasons, but she just got appointed to to that judgeship that she had, and had to go through Democratic and Republican questions, and had Republicans voting for her to have what is basically like almost the level just below the Supreme Court. And
right.
And they had no problem putting her there, but it's at this point, the sad part is this is all for sound bites because the elections are coming. And they're playing to their anger, back to the word anger, to their angry base. To their angry base that feels that has been brainwashed to think that somehow their American dream has been compromised by people of color, by women who don't know their place, by LGBTQIA people, that all of the hate and bigotry who has compromised and made them lose or feel like they're losing or have already lost their American dream, when the bottom line is it's the politicians they keep on electing that keep on passing bills or ignoring bills or doing whatever the uber wealthy want to get the donations, that keep screwing them over and keep on telling them they're trying, that these are the groups that are making them lose their American dream.
Well, they know if they keep them angry, they can keep them controlled.
Yep.
And right, but most Americans' anger is misplaced. It should be at the uber wealthy. It should be at the politicians. It should not be at the guy trying to feed his family or the person trying to make a better life. We should be supporting everybody, no matter what your color, sexual orientation, anything. It doesn't matter. If you're pink polka dotted, it doesn't matter. You have the right to be happy, healthy, live a safe, nice life. And we can do that in this country. We are an incredible country. So place your anger to the ultra wealthy who don't pay their share, who pay less in taxes than we do, to the politicians that are just greedy and really do not care about any of us. They only care about their pockets.
And on that note, we will be right back with the last segment of the Dr. Kevin Show. I'm here with Reverend Lori Powers-Otto, and we're discussing what's going on in the world. And I'm going to be changing this discussion up completely upon our return. Remember, you can call in with questions or comments at 202-570-7057. That's 202-570-7057.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Vox Novus, the new voice. Vox Novus, the new dimension. Vox Novus, thought and movement leaders who will share from their experience and offer tools to help us navigate our rapidly changing world. My name is Victor Furman. Join me every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio for Vox Novus, the new voice.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the last segment of the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. And this week we have, as we do the last Thursday of every month, or the fourth Thursday of every month, the fourth Thursday of every month, Reverend Lori Powers-Otto. And sometimes we have guests, and sometimes we just kick it around. And today we put on our kicks. Make sure you call in and are part of the conversation at 202-570-7057, 202-570-7057. We would love to have your questions, your comments, whatever. So I want to read you, Ms. Lori, just something I ran across on a Facebook thing, but I just loved it. I mean, and there's variations of it out there, but I just thought I would change the energy up.
Okay.
When you have friends going through a personal storm, instead of being a weatherman and spreading the news, try being an umbrella and cover them with love.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. I like that. Everybody needs to do that.
Yeah. I think that, oftentimes we confuse who are really our friends by who are there that are getting some value off of themselves by being there, from that value for themselves. Like their value is about playing a role in your life. You know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Yeah, that's actually something very deep that people really do need to think about, because, you can have a million acquaintances, but how many actual friends do you have?
Yeah.
Do you know the difference?
That's a really good question, and there are friendships that go from everything to that friendship, which is a friendship of perfectly matching dysfunctions, enablers, codependence, you buy my bullshit, I'll buy your bullshit, to tough love, showing up when you're needed, choosing not to be offended when the other person is in a bad place and you might get a little splatter from their energy, recognizing that they just need you to be the centered one in that moment, that they don't need to make your drama their drama. Oh my God, how often have you seen that? Somebody's having something bad happen and somebody goes in and makes it their drama.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that out. I saw that and I was like, I like that. I've heard variations of it, but I thought that was actually an interesting way to put it.
I agree. I liked that. I think we should make that a screensaver. We should be reminded of these things in life,
Yes. And, and that goes back to what you surround yourself with. And I think people underrate that. I oftentimes will myself or tell clients that are in a struggling time, I'm like, I want you to post things around that you see. I had a client the other day and I told them to make ludicrous cards. And these ludicrous cards are cards that when they're starting to go to a certain place where they're becoming, very negative about themselves and the old scripts are coming up and things like this, and we created like 4 or 5 of the ludicrous cards. All you need to do is go shuffle the deck and pull one out. And, like things like, one of them was like, when they were getting into that headspace, well, it's the price you pay for being God and having everything be about you.
I like it. See?
And everyone we came up with, and I have to be careful because obviously some of them are very personalized into their lives,
right,
were things that when they that as I was creating them with them, made them laugh every time. And I said, we're going to make a bunch of these up, and you're going to have these ludicrous cards over here. And I have people that, I want you to put this up by your computer monitor so you see it. And I want you to put one of these up by your mirror so you're looking at it. And I want you to, sometimes in couples work, I will give the couples, I want you to write on 5 different stickies a nice thing that you most appreciate about your partner, and then I want you to find times to put one. And when the person discovers the one that you put and thanks you for it, then it's their job to hide one that you have to find that they put about you.
Nice. I like that. I like that idea.
But what are we surrounding ourselves? Are we surrounding ourselves with Fox News? Even surrounding ourselves with CNN, I don't think is particularly healthy. I think that, knowing some of what's going on in the world if you can find it, which I tend to think that you're going to find it more with an NPR than many of other sources, enough to know what's going on, but not be deluged in it. Like, how do you think you're not going to end up with like creepy, crawly, moldy, stinky things if you spend all of your time obsessed with swimming in the swamp?
Exactly. And people don't get it, that what they surround themselves with affects their lives. I like you, I work with many clients on this, and they're like, well, I can't not talk to this person, they're a family member. You can love them from afar. Yeah, you can love them from afar. You don't have to owe them any ill will, but you don't have to be in contact with them every single day.
Oh
no, I had to clear my throat. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and this is what I try to encourage people to understand. What you need to tell to this person who may be particularly toxic or negative or is always very critical of you. If you always feel bad when you finish interacting with somebody, you need to stop interacting with them.
Exactly.
And then you have to figure out why you're giving that much power to them, but you can't do that as long as you're interacting with them. It's kind of like saying, hey, I need my lungs to clear from all of the tar and nicotine as you're lighting your next cigarette and inhaling it. It ain't going to happen.
Exactly. Great. That was a great analogy. People they don't get it.
So
and it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter what?
Who it is. Parents, kids, siblings, it doesn't matter.
But here's something that if you've never tried, that I try with my clients sometimes. I go, when you have somebody that in your life, you tell them that you need the space and distance because you're concerned about their health. And if they say, well, what do you mean? You say, because if you pull that shit on me one more time, I'm going to kill you. So I think it's best for your health.
So don't eat cookies at Kevin's house is what I'm hearing.
It's been a while since you've come over to visit.
I know.
I'll make you cookies. They won't be bitter almond cookies because I would never do that to you.
Yeah. Well, you have kitties, and while my son was living here, I couldn't be around cats because he's very, 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 very allergic. But he doesn't live here anymore.
Well, there you go. So you have no reason not to come over and have my cat shed on you. Just saying.
Just saying. We'll have to work that out soon because I could use a Dr. Kevin hug.
Yeah, you charmer, you. Well, there's always a Dr. Kevin hug waiting for you. Whenever the spirit moves you, we'll have to figure out a way. We're probably overdue for breakfast or dinner or something, but our schedules don't mesh well, and that's so hard.
Yeah.
Like, your free times tend to be my busy times, and vice versa. So we're just going to have to try to work it a little harder.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Busier and busier. Keep trying to do that environment thing, but just not working out. So go for it.
So,
yes.
Now, I'm going to, in the last couple of minutes we have, I'm going to talk about the ludicrous of something else.
Okay.
Which is, to me, there is such a thing as being too politically correct. And I'm going to bring this out from a personal experience that just happened to me. Now, I don't know if I'm pretty sure you know that I got a new car, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I love my baby. I mean, this is my dream car. I mean, since I was in my 20s, always said my dream car was a Mercedes convertible. That's what I've wanted since my 20s. I now own it. And, and things like this. So this last weekend, I'm here on Daniel Webster Highway, and somebody in a stopped lane of traffic at the light by Spitbrook pulls out and hits me in my new car.
Oh, no.
As I'm just traveling at a regular rate, going up to stop behind the car that's stopped by the red light. I mean, they didn't see me. I don't know if it's a blind spot or whatever. And obviously, I'm a little aggravated by this, but I keep my temper. I mean, I'm like, I don't think this person clearly didn't do it intentionally. But I had to tell the story. I had to tell the story to the police. I had to tell the story to my insurance company. I have to go get it. I mean, and it's not horribly damaged. It's, they had a big old 2008 Dodge truck, and their bumper hit right over my driver's side, my back driver's side wheel. So it's kind of crunchy a little bit, but I mean, it's fixable. Thank God, Mercedes are like tanks. But every time I tell the story, in order for people to understand because of some things, I always end up having to say that the guy that hit me and his wife, when we pulled over to the side of the road, that English was not his first language. And I have had people jump on me like, well, what are you, a bigot? I mean, that sounds pretty racist to me. I'm like, no. You have to understand, English was not their first language, and we had a communication issue. I'm not doing a tap dance around, these people, when they moved to this country, I said, I'm trying to explain why some of the difficulties ensued that did, because they didn't speak good enough English for us to communicate well after he hit me. And like,
totally.
This. So.
Who call you racist for that?
Yeah, I mean.
I mean, like, so if a deaf man hit you, or a mute person hit you, and you said this person was mute, so we couldn't communicate easily, I mean, what would be the problem with that? I mean, it's just stating a fact.
Yeah.
You weren't accusatory or anything like that.
No, but I say it near the very beginning of the story because it makes a difference. And I'm just repeating my experiences, and people kind of are like, I didn't think you were like that. And I'm like what? Like somebody who doesn't like to have their car hit by somebody who wasn't looking at where they were going? I don't know. I think I'm okay with being like that.
Yeah.
I'm not being derogatory. I didn't yell and scream at the guy. I haven't yelled and screamed at anybody about it. I was unhappy it happened, and it now has created a few other things like my car. I'm not going to have a car for 2 weeks. So I'm like, let me see, can I walk 2.5 miles to my massage therapist while they have a car? Sure. Can I walk 6.5 miles home from where I have to drop my car off? Sure, I can do those things. That's aggravation. Miss Lori, thank you. And we will talk again. Well, we'll talk again before that, but we'll talk again on air next 4th Thursday of April. Enjoy your spring.
Bye.